is a traditional dessert from South Africa. It is a very old dessert and much loved among South Africans. So today I'm going to show you how to make Koeksisters. I know normally most recipes say you should try and have room temperature eggs, but to be perfectly honest, it doesn't really matter, because with this recipe we're going to be chilling the dough half an hour before we actually deep fry it. You can use a food processor as well if you really want to. So it's just over 200 milliliters that I've added. Now I'm going to be adding the cream. Ooh, cream. So I'm going to mix up the dough with my hands. It's just a lot easier. My hands are clean. I just mix it up. As you can see, this is a very medium dough. It's not too tough and it's not too soft either. You will feel it. It feels a little bit sticky in your hand. Honestly, this is exactly what it's supposed to look like. Wrap your dough with a little bit of cling film, like such, so it doesn't dry out in the fridge. I just wanted to show you what the syrup looks like from last night. As you can see, the syrup is really thick. Look at that. Just want to show you again. Look at that. You can actually see it's proper syrup. Right, it's now been 30 minutes and I've placed the dough back onto the board, and as you can see it's a bit more stiffer than what it was before. Put some flour onto my rolling pin, as such, and sprinkle a little bit on the board itself so the dough does not stick. This is a very soft dough, so bear in mind you don't want it to stick to the board and you don't want it to stick to the rolling pin either. So make sure that you coat it pretty well before you start rolling it out. Otherwise it's going to stick to the board and you're not going to be able to get it off. 1 centimeter thickness. So I'm going to just cut this in half. Roll this up. Put it into my bowl and just keep it aside for now because I'm going to be doing it all. If you look at the thickness of it, it's quite thin. So you want to make sure it's about 1 centimeter in thickness. So now we're going to cut our dough into strips. And your strips are going to be about 1 centimeter wide. So it's not going to be very wide. Leftover dough, just put back with the rest. Okay, so now you have your strips of dough. I'm just going to move this slightly up a little bit. Please bear in mind the dough is very soft, so you're going to have to work very gently with it. But as you build momentum, you'll actually see it's a lot easier to use than what you would have thought. I sometimes cut my dough into bits, and that actually helps quite tremendously when I'm making smaller plates, because you don't want to make a Koeksister too big. Now in the olden days, until recently, you can actually make a Koeksister and it would be the length of your hand, but some people find it too big and actually you just want a small snack. Tuck the 3 strands in at the top, and then you take the edges and you move it to the middle, in the middle, like such. And when you get to the edge, you just scrunch them together until they become one. And that is a plated Koeksister. Now, of course, like I said before, most people just take the easy way out. And they just make it into a circle. Looks like an onion ring, as you can see. And what they do is they stretch it a little bit, and then they just twist it, like such. And then they deep fry it just as is. But I prefer to plate my Koeksisters, and to be perfectly honest, the reason why is because it just looks prettier. So as far as I'm concerned, I prefer doing it the old traditional way. And you just carry on plating. until it's all complete. And you lock it at the bottom. And it's ready for deep frying. Do try and put your Koeksisters apart from each other on the plate. And the reason being is that you don't want them to get stuck to each other, because remember the dough is quite medium and it's not a very tough dough, so you want to make sure that you have enough space between them, otherwise they're just going to stick to each other and you won't be able to get them loose. I've never frozen the dough before. I don't know if it can be done, to be perfectly honest, but if one of you want to give it a try and see if it's possible, email me and let me know. All the dough has now been plated, and I'm going to put the dough back into the fridge for an additional 10 to 20 minutes, and then I'm going to heat up my oil and deep fry the Koeksisters. I just want to show you, if your oil is ready, and you put a tiny bit of dough in, it sinks to the bottom, and then it starts boiling immediately. And that's how you know that that oil is warm enough, because it comes straight up to the top and it starts bubbling away. Now, as you can see, I've got an ice bath, plastic bowl with lots of crushed ice, and I put my syrup inside in a bowl. Now I'm just keeping it as cold as I possibly can, so when the Koeksister comes out of the oil, it goes straight into the syrup. It sits there for about 30 seconds, and then I let it drain on the rack. Put some Koeksisters in. Remember to keep your flame on a very low heat, because you don't want your Koeksisters to burn. Periodically just turn your Koeksister around so it gets nice and brown on both sides. It's nice and golden brown. Take them out and put them straight into my syrup. Just let down a little bit of the oil. And then you're done. I don't know if you can hear it, but the syrup is actually making the Koeksisters crackle, because it's the extreme heat and the extreme cold that's hitting each other, causing the syrup truly to pull in to the cake itself. And this is why it's so important to keep it in an ice bath on the ice, because you don't want your syrup to get warm, because all the oil is going to heat up the syrup. Allow your Koeksisters to cool on these cooling racks with a little bit of wax pepper underneath, so it captures all the syrup that is dripping off. It's minimal amount of syrup that'll be dripping off, because most of it is pulled right into the dough. But allow it to cool down for a while. Put it into a container and put it into your fridge and allow it to cool down completely.